Hi guys, this is David James from Business Growth Digital Marketing, and today I'm talking about today where we have a very special guest all the way from the US, all the way from Colorado. I actually started following John Doherty online, and to my grace today, he's been able to join us on the show. He's a very savvy SEO, and he's going to share a bit about his thoughts and trends in the industry. So, without any further ado, let me introduce you to the man himself, John Doherty. Welcome aboard.
David, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And that's excellent. So, I know you've been in the industry for a while. You've been quite influential in the industry with what you've been posting online, and also with really driving the direction of SEO, especially in the US. Just before we go into today's show, would you just mind giving us a bit of a brief introduction about yourself and what you've been doing, and some of the things that you want to see happen with the industry going forward?
Yeah, for sure. So, as you said, my name is John Doherty. So, I am a Denver, Colorado-based SEO consultant and digital entrepreneur. So, I run my own company. It is called Credo. It's getcredo.com, Getcredo.com. And basically, it is an online platform, subscription-based online platform for agencies and consultants to get new clients. And on the flip side, it is for businesses that are looking for help with SEO content, any of the paid acquisition channels to find a vetted digital marketing agency or consultant. So I vet everyone that's on the platform. I see their work. I talk to them on the phone, and basically say, like, I'm willing to, I feel comfortable sending work to them. So that's what Credo is. I've been running it full time for almost 2 years now. Before that, I worked in house. I worked for Zillow Group, which is the largest real estate company in the United States. So I ran marketing and growth on a couple of their properties. And before that, I worked at digital marketing agency Distilled in New York City. So I've been in the SEO world for about 8 years now. Was trained as a web developer before that, and so I love growing businesses, building businesses, So I've kind of worked across the gamut of businesses. I've worked with everything from seed stage tech startups trying to get initial traction. Worked with a couple of them that then got them to their Series A of funding, all the way up to some of the largest websites on the internet. Like Trillia has over 100 million pages in the index. So I work on very large websites now is what I specialize in, and it's a lot of fun.
I've been in the industry for probably around the same amount of time as you, and it's interesting that you've been able to work on the smaller sites and then really up to the larger scale sites where the approach is very different. So in
Very
SEO,
different.
yeah, in SEO, it's quite easy for people to know the theory, but when it comes to being able to scale, especially the strategies and the execution phase of things, it's really
Hmm.
what separates the wheat from the chaff. The boys from the
Yep.
men.
Yep.
Yeah, could you just talk about that kind of approach and that kind of transition that you've seen through your career, and then we'll talk about how that fits in with Credo.
Yeah, for sure. So, as you said, SEO and just digital marketing overall is very different if you're working on a small local restaurant, right, versus
Hmm.
a strictly online company that has millions of pages in Google's index.
Hmm.
That's selling advertising against the page views that they're getting.
Yep.
Two very, very different things. Both are obviously very real businesses, but like what it takes to grow that business
Hmm.
are very, very different. So I am not much of a finesse marketer myself. Like when I talk to a business, they basically have three main keywords they're trying to rank for. I recognize that is super important for their business, but it's not the kind of thing that I personally want to work on, right? But there are people out there that love doing that love working with the small businesses to get them ranking number one in
Hmm.
the map pack for their three terms that are going to drive them the majority of their business online.
Hmm.
I would much rather work with the ones that, as I said, have like a million plus pages in the index.
Hmm.
I think of myself as more of like a sledgehammer marketer. You don't have to have your on-page SEO perfectly dialed, in order to rank fairly well. But when you do dial it in, then all of a sudden you're going to see, a really good improvement in traffic, right? Same
Yep.
with site architecture. If you don't have your site architecture perfectly dialed in, like you can still do okay, but once you dial it in, then you're going to do really well and you're going to dominate your niche. Like those are the kinds of things that I find to be really fun, where you're not driving another 100 visitors, which amounts to another like couple $1,000s in revenue. You're driving literally millions more visitors, to this property and helping them discover what they're trying to do. And I enjoy working at that scale. But like you said, the strategies are very different. I've been working with one content site that I can't say the name, but basically we've tripled their organic traffic since the middle of January, gone from about 350,000 visits a week, organic visits, to this week, actually, when we're recording this video, the middle of May, we should hit 1 million visits this week from organic. But there's been a lot that's been done, and basically like the level at which you have to operate, thinking about like I'm not trying to identify like 5 keywords that we can launch 5 pages for. It's like, how do we actually launch like this whole directory in order to get all of their hundreds of thousands of pages indexed? Those sorts of things are really fun and take a very different thinking than like is our name, address, phone number the same across the site, which is super important for local businesses.
Actually, you just touched on a really interesting point about making sure that those pages get indexed, because like I typically work with a lot smaller sites. I don't work with sites that have like millions of pages. I have done so in the past, but one of the challenges I found back in the past was making sure that those pages would get indexed, because as you know, like if they're not indexed, like you're not really going to see anything, so so like what are some of the common challenges that you see with those kind of projects, and how do you communicate those challenges with like potential clients or people that have those kind of scale websites, and then they want to take on board an SEO specialist or an SEO agency, but like you don't want them to make the wrong decision. So how do you approach that challenge?
Totally, yeah, and it definitely is a challenge. That's a great word to use for it, because it can be tough. But it all starts at education. It all starts at how does SEO work, right? And there are a lot of misconceptions out there about it. People saying like, oh, we should rotate our homepage content every quarter because it's good for SEO. Like, I'm sorry, that's such a like small change that like it's not true. But also like you're spending time, an hour or so every month or whatever, like updating this content that's not even going to make a difference for your business. So it starts with, education, especially on large sites, talking about, basically the way Google crawls your websites and how the search engines discover all the content, right? HTML sitemaps, internal linking, XML sitemaps, the importance of the consistency between all of those. That's normally where people are saying like, hey, we have millions of pages on our site, but like nothing is indexed. Then we talk about why that could be, right? And I kind of walk through it with them. What could these different things be? Kind of try to discover some things, get some quick wins going on. Maybe they're rate limiting the bots on their in their robots.txt for whatever reason, right? Get that out of there, right? That sort of thing. So it is definitely a challenge, but I think what's important for consultants and agencies is to know your own strengths, right? To know if you're happy educating clients and spending a lot of time educating them, this is why you should do it, X, Y, and Z, or I only work with, because I keep my consulting very low because most of my time is focused on the software platform. But my 2 clients, like they have dedicated engineers, dedicated PMs, dedicated design, in order to do stuff that's good for growth and good for SEO. If I have to go and I have to convince a CEO why he should, give me like half of an engineer's time, I'm not interested in fighting that battle, because there are a lot of other businesses out there that are willing and ready and able to do it as long as they find the right consultant.
Look, I completely agree with that. And you touched on a really interesting point, which brings me into my next question, which is about processes. So like for a lot of people in SEO, especially when they work with the like smaller sites, you don't really need that much resources to be able to execute the campaigns. But obviously, when you're dealing with campaigns, the scale that you're dealing with, like processes are a must. So like another one of the challenges that I've found in my career is people who want to invest in SEO. They're like, oh yeah, we'll just hire a freelancer, or yeah, we'll just get this cheap agency, and we'll just get 2 people to work on it, or we'll just farm it out to somebody on Upwork or purchase it on Fiverr. like you and I understand the importance of processes. So could you just
Mhm.
give us a bit of insight into that and why people should opt to like go with either an agency like yours or somebody that you would vet?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things that you touched on there that I wanna kind of
Yeah,
go into a little bit more. One is you're talking about like, oh, we'll just put like a couple people on it and they'll do our SEO and then we're done and we're good, right? Or
yeah.
I'll just put it to Upwork.
Hmm.
One thing that I've been thinking a lot about, I actually have a blog post that's kind of like a rant that's in draft in my blog that I
Hmm.
haven't quite finished it yet, but because I want to get it right. But basically, it's talking about whether you have a transactional versus an investment mindset, right?
Yep.
Transactional is like I pay $100, I get $200 back.
Hmm.
Some businesses expect that, and if they do, then they should probably just go do PPC
Hmm.
and not
Yep.
SEO
Yep.
because they're not going to see the results that they should see, for the money that they spend doing SEO, and they're going to say like, oh, this was a waste of time.
Yep.
Versus, okay, I understand that like I'm going to have to invest, $100 a month or $1,000 a month for months on end before you actually start seeing an uptick.
Yep.
I wrote a blog post about a title like "How does SEO actually work?" and there are 9 or 10 different case studies in there of like these are the things that we did, and this is what we started them in June, and we started seeing an uptick in October.
Hmm.
So this stuff does take time, and so
Hmm.
there actually needs to be a mindset shift
Yep.
as well for how long stuff is going to take. So that's one of them, and then the second part is talking about like going and finding someone on Fiverr or Freelancer or somewhere like that.
Hmm.
There's a saying that you don't. It's something about basically if you spend a little bit of money on an amateur,
Yep.
then you're gonna have to spend so much more money on an expert and to actually be able to get a return, right? So basically,
Yep.
like if you want to go and spend if you're trying to choose between like the guy that says that he'll do your SEO because he cold emailed you and said that he'll do it for $99 a month, and the
Hmm.
person that wants to charge you $2,000 a month, but they have a clear picture toward like and can show you how they can build your business because they've done it for other people.
Yep.
If you go with the $99 a month guy, like you're going to be going back to that $2,000 a month guy
Yeah.
in 6 months
Exactly.
time because that $99 a month guy hasn't done anything for you at
Yep.
best, and at worst, it's hurt your business.
Yep. Exactly.
Right? This is
Yeah.
exactly why I started Credo actually, because I had friends coming to me that were running their own businesses that hired these people for $199 a month,
Hmm.
and their traffic went like this, and then it crashed
Yep.
because of
Exactly.
Penguin or manual penalty or something like that. And I rescued so many of these and realized that like I actually didn't enjoy doing the rescuing, but I enjoyed helping them
Hmm.
find someone to rescue them.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so it's there's definitely like you get what you pay for.
Yeah. Oh,
I
look,
mean,
I
in all
completely
areas of
agree.
life, and
Yeah.
that absolutely applies in SEO and digital marketing.
Oh, look, I completely agree with that. It's something that I've seen like all too often, and people always try to take the shortcuts, but
Yep,
like quite often, you take a shortcut, you end up getting lost. Yeah, and
totally,
and in
totally.
SEO, it's like quite often you end up getting burnt.
Yep,
So yeah. Also, another thing is like there's been a lot of changes in the industry like over the last decade.
yep.
Like we're probably going to see quite a few. With the type of enterprise level SEO that you're doing, are there any kind of changes that you've seen that you think has been for the better or that has caused a seismic shift in SEO, or any predictions that you have that could affect the type of enterprise level SEO that you're doing?
Yeah, totally. I mean, SEO from where it was when I started
Yeah.
um, to, in 2009 to where it is now is completely different. It's a completely different animal. I
Yep.
started before, the low quality content panda update,
Yep.
before, Penguin, the links update.
Hmm.
There have been a ton of shifts in local as well, right? There's
Hmm.
Hummingbird, which is, synonyms.
Hmm.
There's all sorts of changes that have happened.
Yep.
And people like Aaron Wall have been pointing towards this for years, but like when it comes to enterprise, it's all about building a brand.
Yep.
Brands do win. Brands also tend to have, they acquire the most links, they have the highest domain authority, all of these different things. So, in the enterprise, it's definitely about building a brand, about getting mentions from the major sites, getting consistent mentions on the major sites, and kind of making yourself like the canonical place to go on the internet for the information that your website has to offer. So like, and I think that's true for businesses of my size and businesses of like my client size, right?
Hmm.
It's super important to do, and honestly, building a brand makes like creating makes building links and getting content placed on other sites, like makes that a whole lot easier. And I think moving forward, that's going to continue to hold true.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest changes that I think a lot of us are seeing across the board is um, a refocus on solid technical SEO.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a long time it was like SEO was link building,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had Penguin, right? And then and then it was content marketing, right? Like SEO is content marketing. I know SEO is not content marketing, but content marketing informs SEO. But everyone was like, just do content marketing, you'll be fine. And no one really understood like what is content marketing, how do you do it, how does it benefit your business, any of that. And so there are a lot of people kind of like gone from here to here, to here, and now people are seeing that okay, you can't just build a business. Well, you can build a business off SEO, but like if you want to build long term, you need to have SEO traffic, you need to have referral traffic, you need to have an email list, you need to have all these different things
Yep.
going on. And people are realizing like, oh, okay, I can have all that stuff going on, but I'm still not going to rank for anything because my site takes 10 seconds to load and Google can't find any of the content and all these different things, right? So like you also have to have that on board, and people are starting to realize that again, as there are so many like super large websites on the internet, right, that
Yes.
haven't really done solid technical SEO, and then they look at the big ones that have like Stack Overflow, right? Like Stack
Yep.
Overflow ranks for freaking everything when it comes to development. Like I do a lot of development, and whenever I have a question, I Google it.
Yep.
And guess what? I get Stack Overflow,
Yep.
right? And like that's a huge site, and they get a ton of SEO traffic because they focused on it for so long.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of where the industry is getting back to. SEO is definitely not dead. SEO is constantly changing, just like all marketing channels, all platforms, right?
Yes.
I mean, the iPhone's only been out for 10 years, right? I just saw the other day that it just hit like 80% of adults in the U.S. have a smartphone, right? But it was under 50% for a really long time. It was just kind of like a slow ramp up,
Yes.
and just a change over time.
Yes.
So like, I think we should expect like our mindset when it comes to digital marketing, when it comes to building businesses, when it comes to SEO, is that things are going to change.
Yep.
And so we need to be looking towards, what those next things are, right? And for example, Google is putting much more into, I feel like I'm ranting here, but I'm kind of down with it. Like Google is squeezing out organic for ads,
Yeah.
right? And knowledge graph and that sort of thing. We just saw a test this week. They're removing the organic link for a lot of listings that have the knowledge graph listing there, or the answer box there,
Yes.
right? So like, yeah, we've been double dipping for the last 6 months. It's been awesome. But like, guess what? They're changing the rules on us again. That's how it goes, right?
Yeah,
we,
exactly.
we roll with the punches, and we keep changing and doing what we need to do to drive traffic in business.
Yeah.
So
And
there you go.
I like what you said, rolling with the punches.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that also leads me on to like another question, which is the need to exert like patience and consistency. So one of the challenges that all people in SEO and even in digital marketing experiences, like people understanding that they need to be patient. Like you said, in a campaign that you're working on, it might take 3 months before you start to see an uptick, or it could take 12 months, or it could take 18 months. But like the financial impact is really really big for the business.
Sure.
So
over time.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
so like the biggest or one of the biggest challenges that I know I face, and quite a lot of other SEOs face, is getting or educating the clients to understand the importance of patience in order to get that reward. Yeah, like could you just talk about how you manage that challenge?
Yeah, totally. And it's definitely a challenge that I face as well. I think it's
Yeah.
something that every consultant, every agency faces for sure. I think I have a little bit different perspective on it because I am actually building my own web property and building traffic to it, and understand that you roll out whatever internal linking changes, and it takes a while for you to see the see the effect on your on your traffic across the board. So I can relate to them as a business owner as well. But so I would say that the biggest thing is, I mean, at Distilled, we would always say communication solves all problems, right? So it's all about education, communicating, how long it's going to be, and telling them talking with them. Like I have weekly standing meetings with my clients, right? It's like, okay, this is what we're working on. This is what's been rolled out. This is what we're working on next. This is what I need to do next. This is why, and then this is why we are doing these specific things, right? And showing them the strategy behind it. As opposed to like, oh yeah, our SEO guy is doing something, but like we're not seeing any results. Like if your client is saying that they don't know what you're working on, like you have failed there.
Mm-hmm.
Just straight up. They should know like what you're working on or why you're recommending what you are and how it's going to get. And you should be painting that picture towards how it gets them to their to their revenue goals, not their traffic goals
Yeah.
necessarily, but their revenue goals,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
sell advertising, then like you sell advertising directly against traffic, but you shouldn't be pitching, we're going to get you more traffic. We're going to say like, okay, we're going to get you 10,000 more visits, which at your current like CPM is going to make you X more dollars, X
Yeah. Yeah.
thousands
Yeah.
more dollars, right?
Yep.
So that's the way that I do it, and then kind of paint the picture of like, okay, when we roll these things out, then we roll it out here, and it normally takes about a month to get all these pages indexed, take another month or two for it to start ranking, and so within 3 months, we hope to see X more thousands of visits a month or whatever. Some of it is like honestly, it's sales, it's managing
Yeah.
expectations, and it's
Yeah.
sales, and it's like part of it is selling the hope
Yeah.
of it, and you also know that you can do it, right? So you're not
Yeah.
selling snake oil,
Yeah.
but also setting their expectations like this is what we're working on, and this is what we need from you in order to make it a success as well.
Yeah.
Because you can't just abdicate it to an agency or to a consultant, especially a consultant, because consultants aren't going to get in there and write code on your site,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you're hiring a consultant to do an SEO audit for you, you better have a developer ready to go to implement the stuff, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So you as a consultant or as an agency, you also need to tell the client like, yeah, we'll do X, Y, and Z for you, but you have to do D, E, and F, in order
Yes.
to see the return on your investment here.
Yes. 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 Look, I completely agree with that.
But
And
it's hard to do. It's really hard to do, and they're
yeah.
uncomfortable conversations to have.
Yeah. Well,
But
yes.
you have to have them.
Yes. Well, yeah. Like we said before, there's no shortcuts. But
Yep.
we definitely have to try to improve the transparency. I always use the term to manage expectations all of the time.
Mhm.
And like this leads me into my last question, which is
Sure.
uh, like the need to vet and to have a stringent selection process of either an SEO agency or an SEO specialist, whether you decide to do it in-house. And like if you could talk me through that process and how that ties into Credo, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually just published a post yesterday morning about questions that you need to ask an SEO consultant or an agency
Mm,
before you hire them,
mm-hmm.
and actually before you even get a proposal from them. Things like how they report, types of work that they do. It's like 10 different questions. If you search questions to ask SEO consultants, it should come up like number 3 or number 4. So click on it and help me rank better.
Yeah.
But basically, like there's a whole lot of questions that you should ask ahead of time, including budget, right? And how much
Yeah.
like they say, okay, yeah, how much an SEO audit is going to cost from them, or something like that for for the size of your site and for your goals, and that sort of thing. So honestly, my goal with Credo has been that when someone comes to Credo, they don't have to question whether or not that agency or consultant is good at what they say that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That should be off the table. There are a lot of snake oil like salesmen out there. I purposely only have like 70, 75 agencies and consultants on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Because that like I want to recommend the best of the best, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that should be like can they get the results should be off the table.
Mm.
And so then it becomes all about like, are we hiring the right person?
Yep. Exactly.
Can I work well with them? Do they have the services? Do they offer the specific services that I need? Right, like all of those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it becomes much more about like, will this be a successful engagement? Will I see a return? Rather than like, is this person just trying to take me for a ride?
Yeah.
So I actually vet on both sides. I vet the qualitative and the quantitative. So like I said, I have a conversation with everyone before they even get on the platform, and I also see a couple of their clients and run them through SEMrush, Ahrefs, Open Site Explorer. Name your tool. I run them through a bunch of those, and I look at the organic traffic via SimilarWeb and SEMrush and all of these
Mm-hmm.
to make sure they're like, okay, they're doing solid work here, and they're a good person, and I feel
Mm.
comfortable like sending someone coming through here to chat with them about a project. They're not a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's really the goal. And now we've moved back a bit more towards vetting projects as they come in, and following up with the people that come into the platform,
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out like, where are they as a business? What exactly do they need? What are they looking for? And then making like personal recommendations and introductions to the
Yeah.
agencies and consultants that are going to be right for them.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
So I think it's a need in the industry, and so we're trying to tackle it.
Well, look, I completely agree with that, and I'm actually glad that you spearheaded this in the industry. Would you be able to just let our audience know, like, where are the best places to find you, to follow you,
Yep.
any of your software platforms that they should get involved with. Yeah, just tell us where we can find you, and yeah, I'll recommend them to follow you online.
Yeah, totally. So best places to find me are Twitter is number one.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually want to converse with me, so I'm at DohertyJF, DOHERTYJF.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of time on there. If you want to check out Credo, if you're looking to hire a consultant or an agency, come check out Credo. I do actually have some in Australia as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are Australian businesses looking for it, I can definitely connect you with Australian agencies and consultants as well. So that's getcredo.com, GETCREDO.com. And then my personal website, where mostly I talk about entrepreneurship and sales and like agency growth. And that's more focused on like agencies and consultants growing their business rather than like hiring someone. Credo is more focused on hiring someone. But so that's johnfdoherty.com. So JOHNFDOHERTY.com. Yeah, but so there are a bunch of ways there to get in touch with me. And thank you for the time today, David. This has been fun.
Look, it's been brilliant. Again, follow John online. He's amazing. He's doing amazing things in the industry. Once again, thank you very much for today. And yeah, thank you for being a guest on our show.
My pleasure, man. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon.